Hello, people. How's it going? I'm still working on this idea. I'm just doing the month in history thing. I'm probably going to have to spend the previous month to deal with the next month. Because you see this list? I can't see it. You see all that? That's just 15 things in June. So what I'm going to have to do, or at least I don't have to, but what I'm going to probably have to do is figure out first out how many things are in the month, and maybe just do 7. I've just got to figure out which ones are worth doing. Well, they're all worth doing. I mean, importance. It'll be more interesting. Maybe what I'll do when I'm done doing that. Why is that? Oh, never mind. Anyway, while doing that, what I think I will do is I might just comment on others. But for the most part, my idea is to do a month in history, to at least make a list, because that's 16, and that's not everything. I'll read that in a minute. But there are 16 on that list. They take 7 major ones and do maybe mention the minor ones. But what I need to do is figure out how I'm going to write it. What I'll probably do is write a short paragraph synopsis of the event, and then maybe I'll write a list of the combatants, the commanders, the casualty lists, the actual equipment used, the military parts used, logistic stuff, the strategic stuff, the armaments, things like that. Trying to make it interesting. Because I know in this day and age, history isn't interesting to people, mainly because it's not taught very well. Because it's not. And I want to teach it well. I want to make it interesting. I mean, because I've been, dealing with this all last week and part of this week. It is only Monday. But this is the list that I came up with for June, which is why I'm discovering I'm going to have to do July stuff in June. I'm going to have to write it all out in June for July. It's the only way it's going to work. And that's even if I only do 7. And this is not in any particular order, by the way. Japan invades the Aleutians, June 3rd, 1942. Japan invaded America. They invaded the Alaska. It wasn't a state yet. But they invaded Alaska in 1942. This was a few days before the Battle of Midway. We'll get there in a minute. So Cold Harbor, that's the American Civil War. May 31st to June 12th, 1864. 6-Day War. Israel against the Arab nations decided to threaten Israel by making it obvious that we're going to invade you soon. So Israel decided to say, I don't think so. That was June 5th to the 10th, 1967, the 6-Day War, where they reconquered Jerusalem. Midway, as I mentioned, June 4th, 7th, 1942. It is the battle that doomed Japan. There's a book that's called that. And I'm also going to have to also find books that I don't have and use books I do have. And when I do talk about these things, I want to show them, recommend them, talk about them very briefly, so on and so forth, and make it interesting, make books worth reading. So, Midway, there's a lot of good books on Midway. Tons of books on Midway. And it is the battle that doomed Japan. We sunk 4 of their carriers. It was after the Battle of Coral Sea, by the way. The Battle of Coral Sea was in May. We stopped them going from the south, and we stopped them going from the north. The Aleutian when they invaded Alaska, it was supposed to be a diversion from what they were going to do at Midway. And they lost eventually the Aleutians. The Aleutians actually was a pretty brutal fight because it was cold. Oh, it's Alaska. Custer's last stand, June 25th, 1876. You know that story. Custer, thinking he was invincible, and realizing you're not Robert E. Lee, and dividing your forces is not going to help. You are going to get wiped out by the Dakota and the Cheyenne. The Battle of Waterloo, June 18th, 1815. The biggest problem at that was that literally Napoleon did not have the army he had before he marched into Russia in 1812. If he had had that army that he had when he marched into Russia in 1812, he would have won the Battle of Waterloo. The Battle of Waterloo was lost for a lot of reasons, one of which is he really didn't have the army that he had in the beginning too. I mean, the French military at that time, plus before he decided to royally screw up and invade Russia, was invincible. They could not be beaten. I mean, anyway. The beginning of the Korean War, June 25th, 1950. The Battle of Brandy Station, again, the American Civil War, June 9th, 1863, where the U.S. cavalry on the Union side finally stopped Jeb Stuart, finally fought him to a stalemate, and finally proved that they could come up against the Confederate cavalry and beat them, and fight them, and not run away from them. At that point, the Union cavalry was used badly, and that's part of the problem. That's part of the reason why the Union cavalry was so bad, was they were being misused by all the generals who didn't have a clue what to do with them. Let's see. Rome was liberated in the Second World War, June 5th, 1944, sorry. The Magna Carta, King John of England forced to sign in June of 1215. Germany invades Russia in Operation Barbarossa, June 22nd, 1941, and Hitler doing pretty much the same mistake that Napoleon made. So Napoleon at least got to Moscow. Got to give Napoleon credit. He at least got to Moscow. Granted, the Russians pulled back and allowed him to get into Moscow, but at least Napoleon got there. And then to proceed to lose pretty much, I think, 70% of the army he had left, something like that, some horrifying number like that. I mean, it's why he lost the Battle of Waterloo. He did not have that same army anymore. The 7 Days Battle, June 25th to July 1st, 1860, should be 62, not 61. This is when Joseph E. Johnston either got injured or he was sick. He got sick. And this is when Robert E. Lee took over. This is when Robert E. Lee came into his own as a general and never left leading the army of the Confederacy. This is the 7 Days Battle, where it literally is 7 days of 7 different places fighting. It was where Robert E. Lee became who he was and famous for what he was and became the legend that he was eventually going to become. But it was fighting McClellan. Okay, this was the Peninsula Campaign, which I guess I also should have put on here, but I didn't. I told you there was a lot of stuff in June. But this was the Peninsula Campaign with McClellan, the most useless general the Union has ever had during the Civil War. And that's saying a lot. But yes, this is where Robert E. Lee pretty much said, hey, I know how to fight. Also, y'all got to remember, the Union was not being led by generals who were really trying to win. Lee was up against generals who were trying to either not lose too badly or just not fight at all. But anyway, the assassination of Archduke Ferdinand in Sarajevo, June 28, 1914, the catalyst to begin the First World War, because Archduke Ferdinand was a nobody. How it all started, basically, there was a lot of saber rattling and a few other things that really got the ball rolling. It really, nobody cared about Ferdinand being assassinated. He was a nobody. He really was. It was just a spark that set a whole bunch of other egos into motion. It is fascinating, though. But it is the start of the First World War. Because the actual start of the actual shooting doesn't begin until August. Treaty of Versailles, June 28, 1919. The treaty that ends the First World War. Battle of Bunker Hill, the American Revolution. But it's Breed's Hill. Bunker Hill is here. Breed's Hill is here. Should have been called the Battle of Breed's Hill, not Bunker Hill. Bunker Hill was supposed to be a delaying action until they got to Bunker Hill. Because Bunker Hill is actually on top. So it is misnamed. But it is where the American soldiers held their own for a while. And then got overwhelmed by the British superiority of men and weapons and tactics. And the Philippines declared independence from Spain, June 12, 1898. And a little bit later, the Spanish-American War, where Teddy Roosevelt, won his Congressional Medal of Honor in the Battle of San Juan Hill. That's in July. July 1st, actually. But yeah, that's just some of the stuff that's on my little list here. Son, all listener. I mean, history is fascinating. I mean, this is a lot of stuff that happened just in June. And I'm going to have to figure out a way to take just seven of my next list for July. Figure out how I'm going to write it for each battle. Because I want to make it interesting. I already have notes, but I don't like them. I don't like the notes I've written for the first three that I had. I had 6 Day War and where's the other one? I did one more. I would have sworn I did three. Well, anyway, what I want to do is try to figure out a way to just pick seven, write a short synopsis on it, then basically do some logistics and statistics and other interesting odds and ends that probably only nerds would actually like or care about. But I do want to make it interesting. I mean, I am going to have to basically start in June to do July. There's Gettysburg is in July. The Battle of San Juan Hill in the Spanish-American War is in July. I'm missing one. There's one more in July. Oh, well, there's the storming of the Bastille, but I will do that one. I will do the storming of the Bastilles in July. But, these are all interesting. I started out too late. The problem is I only gave myself about a week or so to actually do this idea, and I just couldn't do it all in June. Not as well as I wanted to do, and not as much as I wanted to do. Because history is interesting if it's taught properly and correctly, and it's taught without the constant need to voice your opinion about everything. I do it. I know I do, but I also try not to. I just want to teach history. Because it ain't being taught anymore in this country. I need to get some different mugs. But anyway. But yeah, my little list of 16 things. Ow, itchy. There were other little minor things I found that I covered them as I keep showing that to you. But anyway, this is the idea. This is a work in progress. This is something I'm thinking about doing because I want to do it. I haven't done anything the last 2 days video-wise because I've been busy working, and I just haven't had the time to put any effort into doing this because it has been 3 very busy days at work. It's the first day I've had that I haven't had to work, and it hasn't been busy, and I'm relaxing. I did go to the bookstore today. I did buy some books on history, but that's usually for a different video. I got one on the Battle of Rome, Helen Back, Otto Murphy's autobiography, We Led the Way, which is Darby's Rangers, a smaller book on Patton that I'm just replacing the one I already have. Hello, George. Anyway, I got birthday cards I got to send out. Yeah, 2 birthday cards I got to send out. And the short history of World War II. And a few odds and ends here. But anyway, I'm going to save that for my other history video part when I do books I have. But I don't know. I could do it now, I suppose. But I'm already at 13 minutes. Well, let's see. That one's a very good book, by the way. Bloomington's a very good author. He's written a book on Anzio, Cazarine, George. Let's see. Darby's Rangers. If you've seen the movie Longest Day, Robert Wagner plays Darby. He's the guys who are climbing up the side of the mountain, up the side of that hill, being shot at from above and everything else. It's a pretty good book, by the way. And there's Audie Murphy, to Helen Back, his experiences in the war. Very good book. Also a Banton War book, a Jove War book. The other book, The Battle of Rome, and the ego that is Mark Clark. Isn't it? It's an open city. Sure it was. Yeah, sure it was. Wasn't an open city. And then there's this book. This book is when Century College does its World War II class. This is the book they use. So, there we go. But anyway, I did that stuff today. Some of that stuff I bought today. So, but yeah, this book is I've read parts of it, but it's pretty good so far. Well, that book can wait. These two books can wait. I'm hoping to also have more books on certain parts, because a lot of these I don't have books on quite yet. I should, but I either have books that are dealing with it with other things, or not strictly with that subject. But anyway, yeah. But the Bloomington book is pretty good, and the movie is pretty accurate, except for Patton's voice. Patton's voice is not gravelly like George C. Scott. He was actually more like mine. So picture him with my voice and with that attitude. Well, you listen to tapes of him talking. He doesn't sound like George C. Scott. He doesn't have that George gravelly voice. Sounds like mine, high pitched. But anyway, okay, we're at 15 minutes. So this is just the idea. This is hopefully something I'm going to have far more better developed, far more better thought out, far more better written an idea is starting in July. Because I do want to do one on Gettysburg, Spanish American War, French Connection, the French Revolution. Those are the top three I can think of off the back of my head right now when it comes to July history. I know there's more. There always is. No. It's the Battle of Bull Run in July. If I remember correctly. Anyway, I have a lot in my head. Leave me alone. It's no longer raining anymore. It was thundering and lightning this morning, boy. But anyway, if interested in this, share it with someone. If you think they'd like it, share it, comment, share, comment, subscribe. Behave yourselves, people, because you know I'm not going to. Later.